It's just body is a play of five elements. So is the world, so is the universe. Everything is a play of five elements.
So the five elements, if you learn to handle them properly,
if you have even a minor mastery over it, you will start living in ways that other people think is magical. If you have no mastery over the physical, you will get enslaved to the physical.
you don't need a calamity to happen, you are a calamity by yourself.
All yogic practices, doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you do asana, yama, niyama, pranayama, asana, whatever, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, shunya, whatever you may be doing, essentially all of it is coming from the fundamentals of Bhuta Shuddhi, or cleansing the elements, or if you cannot cleanse, if you're such a hopeless case, transcending the elements. Vibhuti, that's why. Beyond the elements. If you cleanse the elements, you will live a wonderful life. If you're beyond that, the best thing is to transcend. Forget about living a beautiful life, just transcend the life. Because living a beautiful life is a more complex situation than transcending. Transcending means you're beyond it. What's beyond is not bothered by so many complexities of the physicality. But if you want to be in the physical and still above that, then it takes a little more mastery over the physical. If you have no mastery over the physical, you will get enslaved to the physical. So Bhuta Shuddhi essentially means you want to first cleanse it so that slowly you come to your state which we call as Bhuta Siddhi. That means you have mastery over the elements. Everybody has some kind of capability with the elements, otherwise you wouldn't even live a normal life. Right now, how well organized the five elements are in your system decides how firm and stable and organically strong this body is. It's just body is a play of five elements. So is the world, so is the universe. Everything is a play of five elements. In these five, unless you want to explore mystical dimensions, you don't have to bother about the space. So there are only four. Among the four, 72% of your body is just water. Just check and see. You're just a water bottle, 3/4 full, you know. You need to understand, it is in sync with the planet. Approximately 72% of the planet is water. Do you know this? Yes? That is how life has evolved. Whichever way the nature of the planet is manifested in your body in many different ways. So about 2/3 of the planet is water, 2/3 of the body is water. So when you eat food, you must always eat food where the water content in the food is over 70%. This one thing the Western societies are ignoring and paying a huge price. Now everywhere it's becoming like that. If you eat any vegetable, it will be over 70% water. If you eat a fruit, it'll be over 90% water. If you want cleansing to happen, you must eat fruit. If you just want to maintain the body as it is, vegetable does this. Almost any Asian cooking usually has over 70% water naturally. That's how traditions created it, they were aware of it. It's only Western diets which are dry. You drink water, it doesn't work like that. The food should have over 70% water content. So 72% is water. Another 12% is earth, you know. Only 12% of your body is actually earth. Largely it is water, so that's 84%. Another 6% is air. Air is the easiest thing to manage and take charge of because there is breath and you can take charge of it in a certain way. Another 4% is fire. Taking mastery over fire could do many things to you, but because you are householders living in family situation, you don't have to take charge of fire. You can keep it as it is, sometimes you can burn somebody a bit. You need it, right? You're married. Once in a way, if you don't burn them a bit, it may not work. Yes or no? The remaining 6% is space. You don't have to bother about that unless you want to explore mystical dimensions of the existence. To live well, 4 elements is enough. 5th one is not relevant for people who just want to live well. Taking charge of this, there's a whole system of practices. Some are direct, others are roundabout. Bhuta Shuddhi can be practiced in a most simplistic way or in a highly sophisticated way. Taking charge of the elements is in many ways. One thing is how you consume these elements, how you treat these elements. The whole system of ancient cultures were about treating the 4 elements right. The 4 elements are the basis of your creation. If you have even a minor mastery over it, you will start living in ways that other people think is magical. Nothing magical, because right now you drink water. See how it is? Does it look like you? Does it look like you? Does it look like you? Does it resemble any of you? But if you drink this, it becomes you, isn't it? Isn't this magical? This itself, life itself is magical. There's nothing in life which is not magical, isn't it? Just some disease got cured, that is not the miracle. Look at this becomes you. This is a phenomenal miracle, isn't it? Once you're capable of performing this miracle, you should be capable of many other minor things. Fixing an ailment or you damaged something, fixing it, all these things should be possible because you're creating the whole body from inside, isn't it? Using the 4 elements, you are creating a whole body. Unfortunately, it's happening unconsciously, that's all. So, bringing consciousness to how these 4 elements are becoming human body. When I say human body, from this water you're manufacturing a highly sophisticated mechanism, isn't it? Yes or no? What this amounts to is, if I just pour this water on the floor, it became iPad. What would you call that? Suppose this glass of water, I poured it down and there this water became iPad. What do you call that? Miracle, isn't it? The same thing, I drink this becomes I. This not a miracle? I was in the same trip I came to Deagle Airport and there was a grumpy-looking security man. He asked, "Any fluids?" I said like this. He got irritated, he looked at me like this. Then he put my bag there, "Computer?" I said like this. He burst out laughing. We are too impressed with what's happening around us. What's happening within us is too big, isn't it? Yes? All computers are a small manifestation of this, isn't it? We are enamored with that, but not enamored with this. That is our problem. So, looking inward itself is Bhuta Shuddhi. If that's not possible for you, there are simple processes. There are practices, there are rituals, there are elaborate systems as to how to take charge of elements. Or if you don't know how to do it, somebody can perform something from which everybody can benefit. There are Bhuta Shuddhi rituals. For example, every month there is Panchabhuta Aradhana happening in the Dhyanalinga. You don't know how to do it. Somebody else will do it, you just sit there in the presence and benefit from that. It's very important because every substance, all the four elements have memory. Particularly earth and water have a very strong sense of memory. Today, modern science has explored this in a big way and they are proving to you that water has tremendous memory. Particularly about water, much research has happened. If I go to a new place, something sensitive, something important, if I go, I don't go and talk to the local guide. I'll just look for an unbroken rock, something that's not been touched and broken. I just go and sit. I know everything about the place because there is a phenomenal memory out there. So with water, and water behaves in a certain way depending upon what type of memory it carries. It's from this, people are going to consecrated spaces or temples and dying for a few drops of water because the water has the memory of the divine. They want that water to get into them, that's what tirth means. Tirth means water which has the memory of the divine. You want that water which has a good memory to go into you. So, always your grandmothers were aware of this. They told you if somebody gives you water, first you must look at their face, not what they're giving you. Somebody gives you something to eat, don't look at the food, look at the person. How are they giving it? They need not chemically poison this. Just with the emotion and thought, things can go bad. So this is no more a grandmother story. This is scientifically proven now that this happens, that water has memory. You can either turn this sweet or make it bitter with your rubbish. If you can cause sweetness and bitterness for the water which is in this tumbler, can't you do this to the water that is here? So if you just make the waters within you sweet, you will become 72% okay. Okay? Another 12% of earth if you do, 84% you're doing great. Air, if you maintain it, 90% you're doing great. Fire, if you want to purify, it's much more work, it takes much more to purify the fires in you. Fire is in different ways. We call this there are various aspects of fire. There is reproductive fire, there is digestive fire, there is mental fire, there is heart fire, and there is inner fire. There are 5 dimensions of fire. These 5 are difficult to work for ordinary people, it takes a lot of discipline. But the 3 can be worked at. The reproductive fire, the digestive fire, and the mental fire can be worked at very easily. Very easily means with little effort, one can do that. The other 2 will take much more to work with. If you just purify these fires, then you are no more an ordinary person. You're not just a healthy, happy person, you are much more. Because once you have mastery over the fire element in you, then you're touching the space. You're just one step away. Suddenly, you are not just an ordinary human being. You are not just happy and healthy human being. Something else is burning with you, which is not… most people in the world will never know that. Or till now they have not. Our objective is everybody should know it. If you took charge of the fire in your groin, the fire in your belly and the fire in your mind, how many miraculous things you could do with this life, how much mastery you would have, and how well you could live, how consciously and how much by choice you could live, rather than be a slave of compulsiveness, isn't it? Yes? This is not about denying yourself this or that. This is just about everything happens by choice for you, not by compulsion. So, Taking charge of the elements is the most fundamental form of yoga. And all yoga, whatever kind of yoga, everything is an offshoot of Bhuta Shuddhi. Either it is on the track or it's gotten distorted, but everything is an offshoot of this.
The five elements, just five, if they have to play so much mischief, it's not one or two manifestations, trillions of manifestations. If all this has to happen, if it does not acquire other qualities or possibilities, there is no way with five you can create so many. They are naturally receptive in nature. The air that you breathe, the food that you eat, the water that you drink. We will leave the other two because you don't have much experience of those two. Today we know we can influence them just with thought, emotion, intention or energy. We can change the quality of the water, we can change the quality of the air and the food that we eat just with our intention or emotion or thought process. So, the five elements within you, which makes this body, are deeply, deeply influenced. A certain layer of information which generally referred to as the karmic substance gathers. Without it, the elements would not behave in a particular way within you. It would be same, every human being would have been same if there was no specific information. See, if you eat a banana, you become a woman. The banana becomes a woman. Somebody here eats, it becomes a man. If a cow eats, it becomes a cow. Same banana. Banana is not so intelligent to make itself into a man, woman, cow, whichever animal consumes. It is a certain amount of information within you which transforms a banana into a woman or a man or a cow or an elephant or whatever for that matter. What you call as myself, individual self, is essentially a certain volume of information. And the fundamental way that it is stuck onto you is through the elements, because there is nothing here apart from the elements. So, cleansing it is also about cleansing it and making it free of the accumulated information or the karmic substance. If this is not done, then you will be a strong individual, but you will never know how to breach this boundary that you have set for yourself. This is not some boundary set by the existence, this is a boundary that you set for yourself. If you cannot cross the boundary that you set up, that's a foolish way to live, isn't it? You set up a boundary without knowing why, and you can't cross it after some time. And you start claiming, this is how I am. This is, this is a common statement you hear everywhere. You ask them to cross some limitation, no, this is how I am. This is not how you are, this is what you made yourself to be. Now, cleansing becomes relevant when you want to extend yourself beyond these boundaries, when freedom and liberation becomes the goal of your life. If you want to be a concrete ball, there's no need to cleanse. There's no need to cleanse at all. So, concretization of karmic processes will make you rigid. Rigidity will bring enormous amount of suffering, enormous. You don't need a calamity to happen, you are a calamity by yourself. You do not need any external assistance. It's called self-help. Most people, when it comes to their suffering, they're all on self-help, you know. Nobody need to poke them. When was it last time that somebody physically poked you? Huh? When was it last time? Maybe when you were in school, somebody did this to you. After that, nobody is bothered about doing anything like that. Most of you, almost all of you have never been poked with a dagger or a sword, at the most a pin or a finger, nothing more. But for most of you in the last 10, 15 or 25 years, nobody has ever even poked you with a finger, because everybody is wary of you. Who's So, how much… if you look at the volume of suffering that you go through, anger, fear, hatred, jealousy, whatever else you go through, misery, whatever, how much has been caused from external agencies? How much is caused by you? If you look at it, it is a minuscule percentage which has been caused from external agencies. No, my mother-in-law said this, my boss said that. They are saying what they're saying, but they're not poking you. Physical suffering has not been caused to you from outside unless you're from Middle East. For most of you, such things have not happened, but rest is all your own making. This is simply because the imprint is so deep that you behave in predetermined, compulsive ways. 1,000 times the same situation has happened, but still the next time it happens, you almost react the same way. It takes a certain amount of awareness, certain amounts of shaking you up to respond in a different way. So, what's called Bhuta Shuddhi is to do it in the most fundamental level. If we cleanse your mind, if you clean it in the morning, by afternoon you'll have a whole new world again. It's really waste. This is why no significance or no importance is given in the yogic system towards your psychological structure. What you think, what you feel, they don't care, because if you change it today, again, within few hours you'll change it back into something else. We are only interested in the body. This is why yoga calls everything as body. Physical body, mental body, energy body like this, but no mind. Because the psychological activity that's happening, towards which you have given enormous importance, is of no consequence or significance, depending upon the type of information imprinted within you. Whatever is your karma, whatever is your sanskara, that is how you think, that's how you feel, that's how your emotions happen, everything happens that way. So we are interested in handling the root. If you prune the tree, it will sprout back with vengeance. No point pruning it. If you handle the root, it'll be gone. So the very root of karmic imprint is in the elements. That is the most fundamental space. It takes much more than handling other aspects. So generally, because most people are not interested in absolute transformation, they just want a little change, they don't want to lose themselves. Bhuta Shuddhi means you want to lose yourself. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, beautiful, it doesn't matter, you want to lose everything that you have built so that the Creator's creation will stand up and shine within you. It'll take a certain amount of work. The Bhuta Shuddhi that's been taught to you is very basic. If you want to do more serious forms of Bhuta Shuddhi, it will mean it becomes your entire life. It's not something that you do on the side. So, even if you do a very minor version of Bhuta Shuddhi, you will see the change that happens in you is permanent. There is no tendency to fall back, and that's important. Otherwise, everybody changes for 3 days and again they fall back into the rut after some time. That will not happen when you assist whatever else you're doing with the Bhuta Shuddhi practice. Nadaradhana, I mean the Panchabhuta Aradhana is another matter, that's a ritual. For those who are not willing to do sadhana, just to give them some benefit. That's the beauty of a ritual, that's the limitation of a ritual. Somebody else can conduct a ritual for you. You don't have to do any sadhana, just sit there and benefit from that. But then only if they conduct, you have it, otherwise you don't have it. Suppose we don't do Panchabhuta Aradhana, you don't have it. So, the ritual is always like this. It is beautiful because people who do not know anything about it, they can still benefit from it. At the same time, if those who conduct do not conduct it properly, it will not happen to you. If they do not conduct it at all, it will never be available to you. But if you do Bhuta Shuddhi practice by yourself, if you're willing, you can keep it up and you will see as time progresses, its impact is undeniable. Above all, whatever it does, however small the practice is, whatever it does, there is no turning back. That's a very important aspect of Bhuta Shuddhi. If you, let's say 6 months you do asana, another 1 year you give it up, everything will be back as it was. 6 months you did pranayam, if it's a powerful process like Shakti Chalana Kriya, if you did, its impact will be there, but after a certain period of time, if you don't do it for a certain period of time, again it'll turn back. You meditate, you do shunya meditation for some time, if you don't do it for a certain period of time, slowly it'll turn back. But that is not the nature of Bhuta Shuddhi. Bhuta Shuddhi if you do, nothing seems to be happening because it's very fundamental and it's slow. But whatever happens, it will not turn back. It stays with you, as long as you hold this body, it stays with you, it will not go because it's on a very fundamental level. That's the significance of Bhuta